Ladies and gents, welcome to another episode of your favorite show of Brews and Banter FC. I'm your host, Targo, joined by the lovely Redbeard. Today's menu includes an ice-cold glass of Matchday 16 drama, served with a side of the best and worst $100 million signings in football history.
Sip your brew, settle in, and let's dive into a roller coaster of emotions that was Matchday 16, followed by a stroll down memory lane in the world of eye-watering transfers. This is an all-new episode of Brews and Banter FC, and it starts right now.
Right now.
What up, man?
How's it going?
It's going good, man. Starting to try to get into the festive spirit. Got the decorative set behind me. Little Grogu action.
Way to call him by his real name. I was definitely going to say Baby Yoda.
Yeah, well, you know, it's hit or miss. Depends on the day for me. But what are you drinking today to wash down this interesting Matchday 16?
I am washing it down with BJ's Piranha Pale Ale. There's the can. Pretty cool looking little piranha on there, if I do say so myself. But never had this one, so let's give it a try. That is a pale ale.
Nice.
Run of the mill. Nothing special. Light, crisp. Pale ale. Give it
Easy drinker.
It is an easy drinker. I would get it again, but it wouldn't be my first choice. 7.3 out of 10.
I thought you were going to say 7.2, so I wasn't far off. Okay.
Nope.
I got a special one.
I'll bump it up a notch.
Just a little bit. I got a special one come today. It's Ligne Court Brewing Co-op from Moscow, Washington, Idaho. This is my girlfriend Becca's friend, Kelly and Steven. They brew beer out of their garage.
What's it called again? Lee Pike's something?
Ligne Court Brewing Co-op.
Lee Pike Court. Okay.
Yeah. So the story behind this beer, it's called a Josh IPA. Yes, a Josh IPA. I would like to claim that it's named after me, but it's not. Yeah, their neighbor Josh wanted an IPA, so they made a hazy IPA and named it after him. I've never had it. It smells like a hazy.
Well, let us know how it is, man. It's named after you, so you better like it.
Yeah, dude, that's an easy drinker. I can get in trouble with that. It's very light, hazy IPA. Could be because she got it on Sunday, and recording of this, it's a couple days later. So, but it's not flat, so it's
fruit
still
forward?
really good.
Pretty fruit forward, or?
Yeah, fruit. I mean, it's kind of like a punch in the mouth. It's kind of everything all at once.
A punch in the mouth. Okay.
Yeah, it's really good, like a good kind.
A fruity punch in the mouth.
Yeah, it almost makes you want to slap your mama.
Oh, not your mama, not Terry.
No. Not yours either. Not Carrie. Anyways, I'll give this a solid 8.5 out of 10.
I just realized our mom's names rhyme. Wow. Interesting beginning.
Took you long enough there, bud. Took you long enough. Moving on.
15 years? I don't know.
Let's move on.
Okay. Let's talk about some football. How about that?
Yeah, let's do that.
Crystal Palace and Liverpool. We'll start with the first game of the weekend, man.
All right.
Crystal Palace lost this 1-2-1. They scored first, played well, I would say, and just ultimately couldn't hold on against Liverpool after going to man down. That's pretty much the story of this game.
You said it right. Crystal Palace lost this match. I don't think Liverpool won this match.
No, Liverpool did not play good.
No.
Not at all. Crystal Palace, they got their first goal after a PK, which this was an interesting one. So the incident happened, and then like a minute 44 or something had passed before VAR said stop and come take a look, and the ref went to the monitor, took a look, and awarded the PK.
Yeah, it was strange. It was a minute and 45 seconds of actual play on the field. Like, he just let play continue. And then they called him to the monitor, which, we've been calling for it. If it's a penalty, like, don't just ignore it. Go back and look at it.
Is this just the new modern game where this can happen? A play can play on for almost 2 minutes and then it gets called back for something?
What would you rather have? Would you rather have them do this or stop and wait for 2.5 minutes before they make a decision?
I think I just would have preferred not a decision, if I'm being honest with you. I thought the foul in itself was light. I was fine with it not being given.
Yeah,
it was a kick on who was it, Mateta? So was it a foul for you?
I was borderline. I've seen it called and not. I didn't think it was worthy of calling it back a minute and 45 seconds later. I will say that. But again, it's consistency is what we've been preaching all season. We just want it to be consistent. We don't want it to be.
I think they were consistent. You're right.
So,
as we'll get to another incident that's similar, but what I will say is VR got the instance in the first half correct, where Crystal Palace were awarded a penalty. Van Dijk was given a yellow, and VR told the ref to go look at the monitor. There was a foul in the build-up, and I think that was the correct call because that was a foul in the build-up to this penalty.
Yeah,
and so I think
I also don't think it was a penalty because I don't think Van Dijk touched him at all. So maybe a little tiny nudge in the back, but he did not.
I think that one was more of a penalty than the other one that was given, but I think that was the correct way, at least in my eyes. VAR, okay, a penalty's given. Is it a penalty versus there may have been an instance? Let's keep playing for another couple minutes and then come back to it.
Yeah,
my question is, what if something happens in that couple minutes?
The call on the field
could change the outlook of the game, like a red card or another goal or something like that.
It could.
Like, what happens then? That's
the problem for me. Is the first instance it was called a penalty on the field. The second one, the ref didn't see anything, so he didn't call anything.
Yes.
So
you're right.
It's a rock in a hard place. Like, what do you really expect them to do?
It
first
is.
First one's not a penalty for me. Second one's borderline. I've seen it called. I've seen it not. In slow motion, it looks like a foul.
It does look worse in slow motion, for sure.
It did not look like a foul. So, yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think?
Well, Liverpool, they would get back into this game, as we mentioned, and it took a second yellow card for Jordan Ayew, who would be sent off in the 75th minute. Foolish kind of foul. He didn't really need to make it.
Yeah.
And Mo Salah scores 1 minute after that sending off.
Yeah, and we'll talk about Mo Salah first, I guess. And as his 200th goal in the Premier League, it just demonstrates what a great player he has been over
as
the
a
last.
Winger.
Yeah, as a winger. It's nuts. I think that puts him in the top 10 scorers of all time in the Premier League.
Yes, it does.
Deservedly so. He's been fantastic. I don't know. He might be the best right winger in the history of the Premier League. I don't know. I haven't looked to see at where certain people actually play most of their careers, but I can't think of many better. Can you?
Wingers? No. You think of like the Ryan Giggs, the Beckhams. If you want to throw Ronaldo out there.
I think Ronaldo played primarily off the left, though. Same with Hazard. Like those kind of.
You're talking
players.
Strictly right wing, then.
Yes, strictly right. Yeah.
Okay.
That's where he predominantly plays. So.
Yeah, maybe Ewenberg, but no, I wouldn't consider him one of the greats. Bex again was on that right.
Mm-hmm. Again, off the top of my head, can't think of anybody better. Anyways, great job for him. 200 goals in the Premier League. It's hard to do. Only 10 players have done it. But as far as the red card goes, I didn't like Van Dijk's involvement in the first one, the first yellow. If my memory serves me right, because this is a couple of days later, he kicked the ball into IU for the first yellow. If I'm not mistaken.
I know his first one wasn't. I think it was for a tackle, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe I can't remember, man.
I don't remember.
But I know.
Anyways.
I just know when you're on a yellow, you can't just make tackles like that.
I didn't think that was a yellow card offense. His second
soft yellow. Yeah,
very soft, especially to change the tide of a game like that. So,
maybe can the ref go over into him and say, "Hey, Jordan, that's you're already on a
get
yellow. You make one more of those.
One more, yeah. I mean, that's what I would do if I was the ref, but
keep the game going, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, refs have been really yellow card happy this season. Card happy, period. Love to blow the whistle. I don't. The state of refereeing in England is in shambles, and I don't want to be a referee. I don't envy them. I would never want to be in that position. It's a very difficult job. So that's all I got to say.
I don't disagree with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Harvey Elliott would get the winner, man. Cracking goal too.
Whew. Terrible defending, but a cracking goal.
Yeah, no one was coming out to him. He strolled right up to the top of the 18-yard box and rifled that thing.
Right in near post, too. I gave him all the time in the world to have that shot. Hit as hard as he could. Right past Johnstone.
Felt bad for Palace in this one, if I'm being honest, man. They played well defensively until that sending off. I will say Allison had to come up with a couple of really big saves in this one. One in the first half, one in the second half.
Yeah, that one he pushed onto the post in the first half. Whew. I thought the thing was going to keep the backspin going and just go right into the back of the net, but
kept it out somehow, yeah.
And then he had I think it was from Joel Ward. He had a point-blank header save. Whew. Reaction time on that one. I would have got nowhere near that.
But credit Liverpool, man. With this win, they go top of the league, sitting in first place. Palace, on the other hand, they're in 15th and sliding. No wins in their last 5.
Yeah. They haven't won at home in their last 9. Or they have one win in their last 9.
And guess who they play next? Palace.
Yeah. City,
yeah. At the Etihad.
Yeah.
And then they host Brighton. Then they're away at Chelsea, and then they host Brentford for their round out the year.
It's a tough
Roy
schedule.
Hodgson in the hot seat, man?
No, I don't think so. I mean, it's Roy Hodgson. It's a legend. I think he'll step away before they fire him. I don't
know. Results keep going this way. It's hard not to look at it.
I understand that.
Maybe a Graham Potter?
Yeah. I mean, it fits him perfectly, right? But as far as Roy Hodgson goes, I mean, his 2 best players have been hurt most of the season. They've had to give Elise, minimum game time. I just feel bad for him because what he's got on the field compared to everybody else and the signings that they've made, yes, they should be doing better, but at the same time, it's like you kind of expect them to be right about where they're at.
Yeah, I mean, and like we mentioned, Liverpool weren't playing the best in this game. Wataru Endo, man, had a howler of a game. As that holding midfielder. I mean, they were missing McAllister, who was out for this one. Endo gave away the ball so many times in dangerous positions, too.
Yeah, struggling to, meet the pace of the match as well. So, I know he hasn't played much this season, but he's got to catch on quick, especially with all these games coming up.
And then I thought it was also interesting, young 20-year-old Gerald Kwanzaa starting at center back instead of Konate.
Yeah, I mean, it's his second start this season. Konate and Joe Gomez have both been having a torrid time playing back there. Why not give the kid a chance?
He gave away that PK, so we'll see.
He did. They gave him a chance.
Yeah, and then obligatory, as always, when talking about Liverpool, Darwin Nunez missing chances.
Yeah, and I'll also go with an obligatory. Allison saves Liverpool once again. So.
Pretty much, yeah.
Literally and figuratively.
Allison keeping the balls out, and Darwin Nunez also keeping the balls out. So another game on Saturday was Wolves hosting Nottingham Forest. This one ended in a 1-1 draw for Wolves and Forest at the Molineux. Forest actually took the lead through left back Harry Tofolo, getting his head onto the ball at the back post, towering over Nelson Semedo.
Yeah, I think Semedo actually fell asleep standing up on that one because it didn't even look like he was reacting until Toffolo was literally like half his body above Semedo.
And Matthias Cunha would level it for Wolves in the 32nd after a nice cutback from Pablo Sarabia. This one was great movement off the ball for this goal, man.
Yeah, Cunha's movement off the ball is fantastic.
I love him. I love watching him play, man. He is a fantastic dribbler. He's a fun player to watch.
Yeah, and when City signed a player from Wolves earlier in the season, I thought for sure they had signed Matthias Cunha. I did not think they were signing Matthias Nunes. But yeah, I mean, good for Wolves keeping hold of him because he is fantastic. If only he could get on the end of some of these balls more often. I mean, I know he's got Hwang Hee-chan there too, but his movement is so sweet. And it's just like it's so casual too.
And he's like deceptively quick, almost.
Reminds me a little bit of the way Lionel Messi kind of ghosts around defenders without it looking like he's trying. I'm not saying it's the same by any means, but it
looks similar. Is what you're saying, yeah. Well, I mean, honestly, in this game, it was a 1-1 draw. Wolves had the possession. I would say Forest had the more clear-cut opportunities. It honestly took Wolves conceding that Forest goal to really wake up in this game. And Forest kind of survives another day. For Steve Cooper, at least.
Yeah, they needed the point. I will say that. They needed a result of some kind because they were on a skid there.
Yeah.
Wolves, I mean, I expected better in this match, to be honest with you. And we both picked Wolves to win. I mean, we know the quality is there at Forest, so they haven't been putting it together. Wolves, we know the quality is there, and they've been putting it together. So, obviously something was disjointed in this match. And yeah, I mean, they came out sluggish and slow and didn't put all the pieces together. And that's what happens. You get punished for it.
Let's talk about another draw. This was Brighton hosting Burnley. This one would end 1-1. Brighton, as usual, would dominate possession, but could only muster a draw against Vincent Kompany's Burnley. Burnley actually scored first in this one, kind of against the run of play just before halftime, through Wilson Odobert. He's in for the injured Koleosho. Kind of shot, takes a deflection, goes in.
Yeah, I mean...
Surprised?
I was surprised that Burnley would score first, yes. Surprised that Brighton couldn't score. I'm not surprised there. They haven't been able to score of late very well.
Well, actually, I would disagree with that. I would disagree with that. Brighton have scored in every game this season. The only problem is they've also conceded in every game this season.
It's like I set you up for that one, isn't it?
You did.
I had that right on deck, didn't you? That's wild, though. I did not know that.
It is. Like that's nuts that they've scored in every game, but they've also conceded. I mean, you can't concede every game and expect to do well overall throughout a season.
Yeah. The crazy thing for me, too, is that they're level on points with Newcastle. And Newcastle have had this string of great results. Yes, they've lost 2 in a row, and we'll get to them later, but the fact that Brighton...
It's the draws, man.
Yeah.
The draws for Brighton.
Defensively, they've been poor. Offensively, they've had to be saved by Pascal Gross.
He's been playing fantastic for him, Pascal Gross. Yeah. Let's move on to a team that actually won. This was Sheffield United. They beat Brentford 1-0. Chris Wilder gets the new manager bounce at Bramall Lane, man. Crazy fact. With this win, Chris Wilder has as many wins as Paul Heckingbottom did.
Yeah, in the Premier League this season.
In the Premier League.
Yeah, I mean, this was a game or match of just 2 poor sides. And it took a screamer for one team to win it.
Oh, what a screamer it was, man. James McAtee, what a goal. Golazo, man, from the corner of the 18-yard box. Curls it in. Top
It was
corner.
so beautiful. I think I watched it
Such a
probably 7 or 8 times, man. It is, whew,
I think this was my favorite goal from the weekend, if I'm being honest with you.
easy.
Or the nicest goal, I should say, in my opinion. And honestly, Brentford were lucky not to have a player sent off in the first half for a nasty looking tackle in the 28th minute. Was it a red for you?
Yeah, probably.
It was ankle level, so I mean, it was above the boot.
Mm-hmm. Studs on it. Yeah.
Yellow was given.
Yeah. And that's the thing too, is because a yellow was given, they won't review it for a red.
Well, no, they'll review it for a red. I think for a possible red.
Well,
But
if that's
for
the case, then I am so confused about VAR. That must be how the refs feel, because
they
apparently
won't
they are
review
too.
a second yellow, I'm pretty sure.
That was it. Yes. Either way,
So
I do believe this should have been a red. Yes.
it was nasty. Yeah, I mean, Brentford didn't look very good in this game, man. They gave the ball away a lot and just looked poor.
Yeah, I mean, you could see how much they missed Brian and Bomo. Out for this one as well.
Ivan Toney, they miss, yeah.
I mean, that goes without saying, but he hasn't played for them all season, and they're still in 11th place. So,
and with that win, Sheffield are still bottom of the table. But they're level on points with
Almost
Burnley.
had me there.
But they're level on points with Burnley, who are just above them. Well, let's get to a game, man. I can't believe you got this one right. You predicted this, that Bournemouth would beat Manchester United at Old Trafford.
Bournemouth's been on fire, man. And United are shit at home. So
that's United's first loss for the first time to Bournemouth at Old Trafford.
Yep.
And it wasn't even close. They lost 3-0.
No, and it should have been much more, let's be honest. I think the only good player on the pitch for United in this match, and yeah, you're going to be just as shocked about me saying this,
Onana? Or Anthony?
Was Anthony. I think he was their best player for this match, and nobody else really played well.
Interesting lineup, too, because he started Martial. Didn't get that one.
Yeah, I don't understand. I mean, Martial, he's had some good games lately, but, why not start Højlund? He's healthy. You're not saving him for midweek. You need points in the league. He's 21 or 20. He can play both matches. Who cares?
Yeah, and before this game, it was announced that Erik ten Hag was manager of the month. Harry Maguire was player of the month. Garnacho won goal of the month.
I called everything but the goal of the month because, well, who's going to predict the bicycle kick from, 13 yards out? But, yeah, watch as Ten Hag wins coach of the month and Maguire wins player of the month. Look at that. And that bite them in the ass.
I saw a hilarious meme, though. It was like, has anyone ever won manager of the month and been fired in the same weekend?
I'm sure there has been. But this is getting dangerously close to probably the most obvious one.
Maybe. I don't think it'll happen quite yet.
It didn't happen.
I think we got to wait for, the Jim Ratcliffe takeover to happen, and we'll see if he wants to keep Ten Hag or not.
Yeah, we'll see.
But, Bournemouth came out flying, man. Scored after just 5 minutes through Dominic Solanke. Terrible ball out from Bruno as McTominay was pressured.
This first goal pretty much sums up the entire day for United. It really does. No communication, terrible passing, no communication once again, and then Bournemouth closing them fast and getting the ball. That's pretty much sums up the whole match. Yeah.
And they got their second in the 68th. Tavernier crossing tower, or Philip Billing scores for Bournemouth.
Yeah.
Getting on the end of a Tavernier cross, and he just jumps over Luke Shaw, man.
He made Luke Shaw look like he's about 4 feet tall.
He did.
Yeah.
Is Philip Billing just a giant, or?
He's not small, but Luke Shaw's not either. He's more.
He made him look small, man.
Wider than he is tall, but holy crap. Yeah. He was about where his knee is when he headed this one in?
Something like that. And then
Yes.
5 minutes later, center back Marco sent aside, gets his head on the end of a corner, making it 3-0. Who was marking him?
No one. Absolutely nobody. Nobody. Yeah,
Terrible.
terrible. This whole United team. It's terrible.
Bournemouth actually had a fourth, but then they got taken back due to a handball in the build-up. It's a bit unfortunate.
Yeah, unfortunate. It was a nice goal, too. Just unfortunately hits him in the hand.
But, I mean, Ten Hag said his players are too inconsistent. Aren't they his players? He's bought quite a few of them.
Yeah.
And so I got to go a little bit of a rant, man. When he said this, I did not like it. I thought this was just a poor, honestly, bitch-ass excuse for your terrible management, blaming these players, man. I mean, isn't this his job to get his best out of players? Isn't that what the best managers do? Pep?
Yep.
Unai Emery
that's
getting
why
the
they
best
hired
players
him.
out of his Villa players? I mean, that's what the manager is supposed to do, is to get the best out of his squad so that they perform well. And when they're not performing well, that is his job, again, to motivate, to tinker with the lineup, to chat with players, to get the right players in. I mean, he's brought in a lot of these players. It's not like this is a squad that was left over. He brought in Amrabat, Casemiro, Lisandro Martinez, Onana, Højlund. I mean, Antony.
Yeah.
So many players he's brought in. And it's just frustrating for him to say that.
Yeah.
Like, that's on him. That's not on his players. Then why is he going after inconsistent players, I guess is the thing. They weren't inconsistent last season, finishing third, making it to 2 finals, winning one of them. You don't get those things being inconsistent. This is down to the manager, because it's the same group of players.
Pretty much, except for Onana. But, I mean, you could say David De Gea had about as many mistakes as he did last year. So, yeah. This is 100%. I mean, it's not 100%. I would say it's probably about 60-40 Ten Hag. 40% of the players. Like, because this is not... Erik Ten Hag should not be blaming this on his players. Like, you're the manager. Take the blame. Take the responsibility for your players not playing well and fix it. If you can't fix it, know you're going to get fired. That's it. It's your job. You have one job. Put the best players on the field with the best tactics and learn how to motivate them to play their best every single week.
So I have a question for you. If Pep Guardiola were all of a sudden tomorrow say, you know what, I'm done with City, I'm going to go over to United over here. Do you think he would make a difference in this Manchester United team?
Short term, probably not. Long term, yeah, probably, because he'd have time to implement, his style of play.
Find his 5+ players.
Yeah, he could find the players he wants. I mean, I'm
Spent
pretty
the
sure
money that Ten Hag has spent.
I mean, yeah, we saw what he could do with that kind of money at City. Look at him now.
He gets you Gvardiol, Doku.
Yeah,
Holland.
Yeah, Pep would do something. I don't think they would win the league. I mean, Mourinho said it best. The best I've ever done for any team was finish second with Man United. You look at how that's aged, and yeah, 100%. I mean, Ten Hag did a great job last year. Well, if you did it last year, you could do it this year. What the hell is going on? It's your fault because you have pretty much the same players.
Minus a new midfielder, a new goalkeeper, a new forward.
Yeah, but they
were
needed
doing
that
last season. They were doing better last season without Weghorst. Let's just put that out there.
I think that says all you need to know.
And he's also killing it in the Bundesliga for Hoffenheim, I believe. So, But I mean, Manchester United's next game. We obviously saw him play Bayern Munich here. Don't want to spoil that result, but their next game's at Liverpool at Anfield, man. Where the last time they went there, they lost 7-0.
Not to mention, they're without Bruno, who got his 5th yellow card, and Garnacho, who got his 5th yellow card.
Is it looking like another 7-0 thumping?
It's looking closer to that than them getting a result out of this match, for sure. I don't see any way that this United squad, the way they're playing, the way Ten Hag is putting them out there and coaching them, that they even come close, even remotely close to winning this match. Sorry to all my friends that are United fans out there, but I'm really not. And you probably agree with me. So that's when you know it's bad, when you agree with me when I say things like that.
Well, let's get to a manager who is doing fantastic things in the Premier League. That is Unai Emery. We watched Villa host Arsenal, and Villa man continue their hot streak at home, beating Arsenal 1-0.
Yeah, beat Man City, beat Arsenal 1-0, both at home. 15 games, 15 winning games at home for the first time ever at Villa Park. It's a big deal. Villa fans, you guys should be ecstatic, jumping up and down, supremely confident, because I'll be honest with you, I don't think they're going anywhere.
What's crazy is the different ways they're winning games. So if you watch the Man City game versus this Arsenal game, they played completely different.
Oh, 100%.
It might have to do with when the goal was scored. In the City game, the goal came late, whereas in this game, Villa came out hot and scored early in the 7th minute through John McGinn. Then after that, it wasn't like City where they were pressing them in their own half. This game kind of switched where Arsenal then dominated possession, probably had the better chances. And honestly, for me, this game comes down to Arsenal not being able to finish their chances. Odegaard had a couple. Emi Martinez had to come up with some saves.
Wide open net a couple of times and missed the whole goal both times. Yeah.
And then Villa, credit to them, they looked threatening on their counter.
Yeah, sit in, look to counter. I mean, how impressed were you with John McGinn in this match? Holy cow.
Dude, so I've been impressed with John McGinn. I've been watching him all season.
I have too, but it's just the different ways that he plays. You want him to play defensive midfielder as a number 6. He's on it. If you want him to play as more of a box-to-box, as the 8, he'll do it. You want him to play as a winger, he's got it. You want him to play as a 10, he'll be the best 10 in the world for you. I cannot run out of superlatives for this guy. As a guy who is not rated super highly by most people, he is amazing, and his work ethic is second to none.
Oh, yeah. No one will beat his work ethic, that's for sure. Honestly, the one who impressed me in this one was Pau Torres. He's looking a fantastic defender. I don't know if Tyrone Mings is even going to get into this squad. We'll see when he gets healthy.
Yeah, I mean, with the amount of yellow cards, what is it? Is it Diego? I want to say
Carlos.
Carlos, that's it. I want to say Douglas Costa. It's not the right person. It's not.
Douglas Luiz.
Yeah, he's picking up a lot of cards, so I think Tyrone Mings will probably come back in instead of Pau Torres. But I agree with you. He's been a fantastic signing all season.
Well, let's get to the controversial moments. There is a couple. So which one do you want to talk about first? The goal?
You go ahead, because I mean...
Well, let's talk about the goal.
The one that wasn't?
The one that wasn't for Arsenal. So Kai Havertz ends up putting in the goal. The ref calls for a handball, which it does hit Kai Havertz's hand like 3 times. Maybe Matty Cash's too in there a couple of times. But the call on the field was handball, so the goal did not count. VR took a look at it.
Quite a while, too.
Oh, for forever, yeah. This one was a weird one, because the ball definitely comes, and looks like it hits Matty Cash on the shoulder, bounces into Havertz. They're both fumbling the ball up in their chest, touching it with their hand. I mean, it's one of those that's harsh to give a PK for that, because Matty Cash is so close to Havertz.
Yeah,
the ball bounces off of him. And
I'm not going to ever say that should be a penalty. But I'll be completely honest with you, I don't know why, because it hits both of them in the hand. Just let it go. Just call it a goal. But I understand why they let it be the call in the field, right? No conclusive evidence. Both players hit it with their hand. I can't still tell which player was it, Eddie Nketiah or
I can't
Kai
tell
Havertz,
either, man. I watched that thing like 50 times.
If Eddie Nketiah ran off and celebrated and Kai Havertz didn't, I bet that gets called a goal.
Potentially, yeah.
But Kai Havertz runs off and acts like he scored it, and that they don't call it a goal.
But I know what you mean. Like, all the replays are just, you can't tell.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like both their foots just meet the ball.
Yeah, but the way Nketiah celebrated, it looked like he scored. But Kai Havertz also did the same thing.
It looks like Kai Havertz was the one that really celebrated, and
So yeah, that's the thing is I agree with the call on the field. If that's what it is, there's no conclusive evidence that it should be overturned.
can't overturn. Yep.
If you were to see that Eddie Nketiah was the one that put it in the net, it's a goal.
But you can't.
But you can't. So I got no problem with it.
Well, let's get to the one I think you do have a little bit of a problem with. This was for a potential foul on Gabriel Jesus. We saw one similar in the Crystal Palace game where they were awarded that penalty. A good old minute 44 later. Kind of the same kick on the bottom of Jesus's leg, and you thought this one was a foul.
Yeah, so this is more of a foul than the one in the Palace match. I will say that. Palace match was given a penalty. This one, they didn't even, the ref said, Gabriel Jesus, get up. VR looked at it. It was done. Snap of your fingers. Took a look at it. It's like, it's not a penalty. I don't understand. Either it is or it isn't. It shouldn't be a penalty in the Crystal Palace and Liverpool game if it's not in this match, or vice versa, right?
So to kind of go back what you said previous, is you said you've seen him given, you've seen him not, and it does depend on the referee. Some, for example, I don't think this is a foul on Gabriel Jesus, whereas the Crystal Palace one I think is more of a foul than this one. Yeah, and so you will get that refereeing disparity between what's a foul and what's not. And that's kind of up to the referee. It's not necessarily in the rules. It's not something that every referee can follow. It's up to interpretation. And I think it's the correct call. I don't think it was a foul on Jesus.
So for me, right, do I think it's a foul? I think it's more of a foul than the Crystal Palace one. But at the end of the day, no, I don't think it's a foul. But the sheer fact that VAR told the ref in the Palace game to go look at the monitor that it's a penalty kick, and in this one, nothing.
You do have a point there. You do have a point there
from VAR. That is what I want consistency from. It starts all the way back last week. Arteta getting a yellow card for celebrating for scoring a winner in the 97th minute. Any coach would do that. The only coach that gets a yellow card from that is Mikel Arteta. It's the only one, because he has a reputation for excessively celebrating. It's the only reason he gets the yellow card. Let's be honest.
Arsenal vendetta, huh?
I'm not saying there's a vendetta, but it's awfully fishy. It's awfully fishy. You can look at all the instances. I would say there's probably one against Manchester United just as much as Arsenal if you look at all the different calls that have been called back or missed against United. And I'm not going to say that there is a vendetta. It's the reason why Arsenal will not win the title because, you still got to pick up points and score goals. So Liverpool is in first, Arsenal is not. And Liverpool essentially got robbed of a game. They're robbed of 3 points against Tottenham. Okay, now where's your excuse? Liverpool said, fuck you, we're going to be in first place. Arsenal, what are they doing? Arteta's complaining about
missing
the referees. Missing chances.
Missing chances in this game that cost them.
Arteta's complaining in press conferences. You know what? I love Mikel Arteta. I love Arsenal. Just shut the fuck up. Just stop complaining. It's not going to do you anything. It's making it worse at this point. Just shut up and say, I'm not going to comment. How hard is it to say that?
Well, that is what he said.
He said it was clear and obvious, and then he said no comment. But he didn't say what was clear and obvious, so I don't. But yeah.
So as you said, yeah, Arsenal dropped down to second, but look at Villa, man. They are now up to third. 2 points off Liverpool, who are in first.
And 2 points ahead of City, who are in fourth. Look at them go. I'm rooting for them, man. I picked them in my top 4. I'm rooting for them.
Are they title contenders at this point?
How could they not be right now? Until they show me otherwise.
Will they be title contenders come March, April?
If they stay completely healthy, yes. If they get 1 or 2, if Douglas Luiz gets hurt, they're fucked. John McGinn gets hurt.
I think they have good depth there at Yuri Tielemans can come in.
But you also forget they're still in Europe as well. The amount of games they're going to have to play without one of their best midfielders, I don't think that they can keep up. You might be looking at more of a Newcastle situation where they're starting to get tired, heavy legs. They start to lose matches that they should be winning. Those sort of things could happen.
So they play similar to Newcastle, but
Mhm.
they can play different. I feel like Newcastle only has one way to play, and that's to get at you, and that's how they win. Whereas Villa don't necessarily have to play that way.
Yeah, and I will give Newcastle a little bit more credit. I think they have a couple of different ways.
And
But I
you
feel
said
like
Douglas Luiz get hurt. They got Jacob Ramsey that could come in, who's a fantastic
he's not the
midfielder.
same player though. Like Douglas Luiz is the engine room. Him and John McGinn. Like
Den Donker could come in.
Not
I
the
mean,
same
they still had
player.
Nicola Zaniolo who didn't play in this game.
Who's probably going to be suspended for 3 years after he gets found guilty of illegal betting.
I don't think he will.
I think
we'll
so.
See.
Anyways, I just think this Villa team is like a Swiss Army knife. Like they have so many different ways they can try to beat you. Unai Emery, like this is the manager I wish that Arsenal had. They did have him, but they didn't give him enough time to become acclimated to the Premier League. And I think he's learned a lot from that, and that's why he's doing so well at Aston Villa. And you know what? I'm not even upset that Arsenal lost. I was at the weekend because, well, I'm an Arsenal fan, but you know what? The way Arsenal played versus the way Villa played, Villa deserved to win.
All right, well, let's move on then to a team that I honestly thought was going to be win. They were winning at halftime, 1-0, but they ended up losing to Manchester City. Luton lost to Man City 2-1 at Kenilworth Road.
I feel like
when I saw that halftime score, I was rubbing my hands together, jumping up and down.
I feel like I am a terrible, bad luck charm for Luton. Because I was watching the Arsenal match when Arsenal went up. I wasn't watching it, and they scored 2 goals and took the lead. I started watching again. Arsenal wins the match. This one, I didn't watch the first half. I started watching at halftime. They lose. I'll just stop, Luton fans. I'm going to stop. I'll just not watch any of your games. I'll watch the game after it's done for the rest of the season. Because you guys are playing fantastic, and I turn on the TV and I jinx you. I don't know what it is.
You did, man. Adebayo would score a fantastic header in the first half to take Luton up. And then, honestly, City, they turned the game around in a span of 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Goal from Bernardo Silva and Jack Grealish in the 62nd and 65th.
I think what set it off was when Ruben Diaz hit the crossbar.
He did hit the crossbar right before that, yeah.
Yeah. And then, let's talk about that Bernardo Silva goal. How brilliant was that finished?
Curler, man.
Because that was, 1, a first-time finish. 2, he wasn't looking at the goal. And 3, I don't even know if he could see the goal from where he was standing because the ball took 2 deflections off 2 different shots, and he just comes around first time, bottom corner. I did not see that coming. That came out of nowhere. And then, boom, City are back in it.
Beautiful goal, yeah. I think Jack Grealish would get the winner. Getting his, being at the far post, puts it between the goalkeeper's legs.
But what was the defender doing on that back post? Falls on his ass trying to get to the ball, but why weren't you marking Jack Grealish in the first place?
But man, Luton proving to be trouble for another one of the big boys at Kenilworth Road.
Yeah, man, it's gonna, if they keep playing like they have been, it's gonna become a bit of a fortress for them, and that could be the reason why they stay up.
They definitely need it to be.
And the way Forest is playing, I'm not gonna put it out of the question that Forest and Palace, if Luton are playing like this, could be in some serious trouble. Because we all know Everton is gonna find themselves well clear, because without 10-point deduction, they would be above. They'd essentially be in 10th place. So.
And you're not wrong. Everton do look okay. Palace, Forest are in a slide.
Bournemouth are hot right now. Wolves are playing good. Chelsea might even be in trouble because they can't win matches.
You're not wrong. Bournemouth are level on points with Chelsea and Wolves, just FYI. Which is wild.
And Brentford. Yeah.
But Luton, they need some points, man. They're sitting in 9th place. They are 4 points behind Everton, who are in 17th. So those 3 newly promoted teams are holding up the bottom of the table.
Or at least they're picking up points where we said they might not get to 11. I think at this point they probably will. So I'll give them.
Yeah, I think they will too. Well, a team that looks like they were newly promoted was West Ham. as they lost 5-0 to Fulham at Craven Cottage.
And remember, Fulham were promoted last season.
They were. You're not
Yeah.
wrong. This is the scoring 5 goals for the second game in a row. They were up 3-0 at halftime, scored another 2 goals in the second half. It was a golazo from Harry Wilson, man. Beautiful curler from 20 yards out.
Ooh. Yeah, Jimenez getting on the score sheet too.
Jimenez, Willian, Tosin, Vinicius, thrashing of West Ham from Fulham.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know what else to say. West Ham looked terrible, god awful.
Yep, Fulham tore them apart. I mean, they keep playing like this. I mean, it's going to be pretty much every team below them is not going to stand a chance of catching them, and maybe even West Ham. So.
Yep. So West Ham, they're 9th. Fulham, they're 10th. Fulham are 3 points behind West Ham.
Speaking of falling behind, we had Everton taking on Chelsea. Everton would score 2 second-half goals in this one to win at Goodison Park, dropping Chelsea down to 12th and bringing themselves 4 points clear of the relegation zone. Decore would score the first goal in the 54th minute with a defense-splitting pass from Dwight McNeil to Dominic Calvert-Lewin, which his shot is saved by Robert Sanchez. And then the ball bounces out to Decore, who makes no mistake and hits it in the far corner. But I just want to say, Sanchez's dive for Decore's shot was absolutely comical. I don't know if you saw that like multiple times.
I don't think I remember the lovely through ball from Dwight McNeil.
Yeah.
Calvert-Lewin. But what was the dive? Describe it.
He essentially, right, because, I mean, he had dove and saved Calvert-Lewin's shot on the other side.
They kind of crashed into each other, if I'm not mistaken.
So he does wonderfully to get back up, but he essentially, like, thinks that Decore is going to try to put it near post, or far post, near post, because he puts it far post. But he jumps up, and essentially he's got his arms and legs like this, and then just falls. Watching the ball. He just falls. Leg up in the air. It's like, in slow motion, it looks like something out of a cartoon. It's hilarious.
That is funny. But, man, we got to talk about Everton. So they have won their last 4 games. They beat Palace, Manchester United, Forest, Newcastle, and Chelsea. That's impressive. Sean Dyche has this team humming. They are holding a vendetta against those 10 points that were deducted. They are playing with a chip on their shoulder. I love it. And they're looking good, man. Sean Dyche, he made a couple of good signings in the summer. Jack Harrison, Gardner. I mean, I got to give a shout out to Gardner, man. He has been playing fantastic. Same with Dwight McNeil.
I was just going to say, Dwight McNeil for me is my pick, man. He's been on fire. Seems unstoppable. And then Dominic Calvert-Lewin's healthy. He's playing fantastic. I mean, what can you say? This team
and it's the style of football.
Yeah, it's fun to watch.
The Dyche style we were used to watching at Burnley. Like, he's got a decent squad. He's playing some decent football.
Yeah, and they're having fun over at Goodison Park. But Lewis Dobbin would seal the win for Everton with the second goal in the 92nd minute, his first goal for the club. And this was moments after Chelsea replaced Robert Sanchez for Petrovic.
I'm guessing some kind of injury is what happened there for Sanchez.
No, he was just terrible.
I'm pretty sure it was an injury, man.
I mean, I don't know. Could have been an injury, but I mean, I would have subbed him out too because he's just terrible.
You know who else had an injury in this game?
Who?
Reece James.
Hey, surprise!
Again.
And guess what? It was his hamstring. Again.
Surprise!
Surprise! At this point, like, he hasn't made it 3 games straight with Chelsea.
And he won't ever.
If he could play 90 minutes, that'd be great.
So I gotta talk about Reece James for a second and just English right backs. Because I was high on him last season, saying, he's one of the best right backs in the league. I changed my mind.
His situation reminds me a lot of Jack Wilshere. like one of the most promising English players. Obviously, he's not as good as Jack Wilshere. Let's be honest with that. Jack Wilshere was phenomenal when he was healthy, but his injury problems remind me of Jack Wilshere, right? So promising coming up in his career, finally makes his first team debut, has a lot of success, but starts getting injured. First it's little ones, and then season-ending ones, and then full season ones, and now he comes off hurt every 25 minutes, it seems like.
And so if I'm Gareth Southgate, though, I don't think I would take him to the Euros. I'm looking at Trent and Trippier.
Yeah, 100%. And even if you want to take Trent as a midfielder, I mean,
Kyle Walker. There's three right backs right there ahead of him.
Exactly.
Who don't get injured.
We've seen how good Trent is as a midfielder for England. There you go. And if he does take Reece James, well, they're going to be in a world of hurt because he's going to be hurt. And they're going to be down to one right back. Anyways. Yeah, Everton have put some space between them and the bottom three. And like I said, if they hadn't had a 10-point deduction, they would be above Chelsea all the way in 10th place, above Fulham even. Like you said, fantastic football. Everton on fire. And I'll be honest with you, I did pick this one as well.
You did. That was a good pick. That was a good pick.
Speaking of games that I picked, next up we had Tottenham against Newcastle. As Spurs would dominate, Newcastle getting revenge for their 6-1 thumping earlier in the season, winning 4-1 themselves.
Yeah, I remember that last season.
What a game Son Heung-min would have in this one, with 2 assists and a goal. He made Kieran Trippier look like a second-class defender in this match.
Yeah, he was taking him inside, outside, having his way with him, crossing the ball in. He tore him up for that first goal to cross it into Destiny Udogie.
Yeah, sat him down. It was fantastic. And then my favorite player in the whole wide world would even come up with 2 goals in this match.
Richarlison, the pigeon got chicken, whatever he does at celebration.
His nose is long enough, you call it either one. I don't care. But he finally showed up for Tottenham and finally put the ball in the back of the net. Good for him. With his foot. Good for him. Destiny Udogie, though, how good is he? Does he get called up for Italy for the Euros?
I would. If I'm being completely honest, he's probably in my team of the season at left back so far in the Premier League.
I can't think of anyone better right now. Luca Digne, maybe. Maybe.
That's about it.
Yeah.
Think of Zinchenko, Gvardiol, Tsimikas.
No, definitely not Tsimikas or Zinchenko or Gvardiol, because the amount of mistakes all 3 of them have made this season. No, they
Shaw.
Definitely not. He's been playing more at center back.
Livermento, maybe.
Maybe,
there's
but
a little shout. He hasn't played as much. Yeah.
So I would say Livermento is probably 3rd on that list, above the other 3. But yeah, he gets the first goal in the 26th minute. Joelinton scores in the 91st minute for a consolation goal for Newcastle. And then I don't know if you saw Romero's tackle on Callum Wilson in the second half. Studs on the ankle.
He was down on the ground already, Callum Wilson, and he just goes and tries to hammer him in, man.
Right? That was above the ankle, too. I don't know how he didn't get sent off again.
It was nasty.
It was nasty. Sure. It was completely unnecessary as well. Like you said,
completely on the ground. Callum Wilson's on the ground.
Yeah. Why? He's getting up, and then he hits it. He literally studs him on the ankle. Why?
I told you, man. Romero's one of those aggressive defenders.
It makes no sense.
When are you gonna start listening to me when I say that? He's an aggressive defender that just likes to get in there.
I don't like him. I don't like him. But still, that's a beyond aggressive challenge. I
like having him on my team.
100%. Yeah.
I don't like facing him.
But I also wouldn't like him on my team because of how much he's suspended for terrible tackles.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah, but this game was all Spurs. Newcastle maybe had 15 minutes beginning of the second half. But man, how tired did Newcastle look, ahead of their pivotal match against Milan in the Champions League midweek that literally they could either be out of the Champions League or they could still be in Europe.
I think it's gonna take a lot for them to still be in Europe because PSG would have to lose against Dortmund. But they do look tired, man. And then again, I don't know why. At what point you're 4-0 down? Why just make some subs, get your starters off, give them a rest.
You're not going to win, yeah. Just you've been playing them like crazy all season. Let them have a rest.
The same lineup with hardly any substitutions. Yeah.
100+ minutes every match because of extra time. Yeah. Anyhow, I mean, I understand. I won't be surprised when they buy 3 or 4 players in January. Won't be surprised at all. But they need a keeper first. So I would say, what do you think about them potentially going after David De Gea? Or I think Hugo Lloris was the other one.
I saw he was rumored, Hugo Lloris. Thought that was an interesting one.
Very, very. That's like you're very desperate at that point.
He's third choice at Tottenham now, behind Vicario and Forster.
Mm-hmm. So I mean, David De Gea would be great, but his wage demands are going to be astronomical. So, which I assume is why.
Good thing they got all that oil money.
Yeah, strange. Anyways, what do you guys think of all the action? How good is Aston Villa right now? Are they title contenders? Let us know. Check out our Facebook group. Make sure to let us know on there. Our Instagram, our YouTube channel. As you probably can just comment, like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell since you are watching this video right now on YouTube. Or on all of your favorite podcast sites. Make sure you give us 5 stars.